Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this session, I'm going to talk about the ectodermal cleft derivatives. Previously, we have studied about the pharyngeal arches derivatives. Now we'll see the ectodermal cleft derivatives. Now, you already know the pharyngeal arches is covered by ectoderm. So this is the pharyngeal arch. That is nothing but these are mesodermal cells is covered by ectoderm. This ectoderm dips into groove and continues with the similar arches is called as ectodermal cleft. So totally we are having a 4 ectodermal cleft. 1, 2, 3 and 4 ectodermal cleft. Now let's see the derivatives of first ectodermal cleft. This ectodermal cleft will be invaginate towards the first endodermal pouch and give rise to epithelial lining of external acoustic meatus and cuticular layer of tympanic membrane. These are the two important derivatives which is arises from the first ectodermal cleft. And then the ectoderm which covers the first pharyngeal arch involved the formation of skin of upper jaw and lower jaw, and also it involved the formation of alveolo-labial sulcus and dental lamina. So these are the derivatives which is arises from the ectoderm which covers the first pharyngeal arch. Now you can see along the caudal, if we talk about this is the pharyngeal arch, we are having a dorsal lane and this is the ventral lane and this is the midline. So this is the first pharyngeal arch and this is the second pharyngeal arch. So this is the dorsal end. In the dorsal lane, the mesodermal thickening will be seen. On the dorsal end, we can see the 3 mesodermal thickening will be seen along the caudal border of the first arch and cranial border of the second arch. So this mesodermal thickening will be seen around the first ectodermal cleft and give rise to auricle, or you can say pinna. And then what happened? The second, third and fourth ectodermal cleft is undergo obligated and it is covered by overgrowing of second arch mesoderm. This second arch mesoderm overgrowing and finally it fused with the epipericardial ridge. Once it fused with the epipericardial ridge, this is responsible for smoothing of side of the neck. So we can see the gap between overhanging second arch mesoderm between third, fourth and sixth pharyngeal arch. This gap is called as cervical sinus. Normally, this sinus will be obligated. Sometimes this cervical sinus remain in the adults and leads to one condition is called as cervical cyst. If cyst is present, it lies along the anterior border of sternocleidomastoid muscles. Sometimes the cyst will be communicated outside and also inside. This condition is called as fistula. If it is communicated outside, it is called as external branchial fistula. If it is communicated inside, it is called as internal branchial fistula. Before regression of all the cleft, there is a formation of epibranchial placodes. This epibranchial placodes is nothing but it is the ectodermal proliferation will be seen in the dorsal end of all the cleft, first, second, third and fourth cleft. Later what happened, this epibranchial placodes will be buried into the underlying mesenchyme and leads to formation of branchial placodes. This branchial placodes give rise to ganglion for, that is sensory ganglion for 5th, 7th, 9th and 10th cranial nerves. So these are the derivatives of ectodermal cleft. So in the ectodermal cleft, you want to remember 2 points. That is the first ectodermal cleft, especially from the dorsal lane, give rise to lining epithelium of external acoustic meatus and cuticular layer of tympanic membrane. And what about the second arch mesoderm? This second arch mesoderm will be go rapidly. As a result, it form an overhanging and fused with the epipericardial ridge. So this overhanging covers the third, fourth and sixth pharyngeal arch. So ultimately there is a gap. This gap is called as cervical sinuses. Normally it will be disappear. Sometimes this will be persist in adults. It leads to formation of cervical cyst. After formation, there will be one more point you want to remember, that is the epibranchial placodes. What is the fate of epibranchial placodes? It gives rise to ganglion of 5th, 7th and 9th, 10th cranial nerves. So this is for the derivatives of ectodermal cleft.